welcome back to Witch Daily's Countdown to Halloween, our witchy countdown getting into the Samhain season, bringing you all kinds of information and fun to get your witch on as you move forward towards October 31st. Today, we're going to talk about a little bit of a heavy subject called, let's just call it Wyrd. So that English word that we use, weird, and when we're using it, we're usually saying something like, oh, that was weird. That was strange, right? That's what we mean when we say it was weird. But the word weird that we use, W-E-I-R-D, actually comes from an Old Norse word, also weird, W-Y-R-D. And it denoted this idea that fate had intervened, right? If something was weird, something happened that shouldn't have happened, and you say, oh, that's weird. What you're saying is something has entered your path that's actually part of your fate, and it wasn't random, right? We use that word now as though something were random, but where it actually comes from is to say, oh, fate stepped in, right? So weaving your weird is kind of the term that goes with the older idea of weird. And at Samhain, it's a really good time to think about your fate, because you have an opportunity at Samhain to kind of get some extra information, if you will, to work with the idea of fate or work with the goddess to understand something differently or better. And so what we have done in our coven for a long time is something that we call gathering the remnants, right? And what we're talking about is not like wayward children or, wayward sheep or something like that. What we're talking about is actually pulling together the remnants of fate that are entwined by the Norns into our personal weird. So that's a lot of witchy jargon for you there, but what we're talking about, so the Norns are three goddesses from Norse tradition who sit at the base of the Tree of Life, at the roots of Yggdrasil, and they weave together the fate of both humankind as an overall person, or as an overall cultural or world building exercise. They also weave the fate of individual people, right? And what they're weaving is called the weird, right? The weird of the world, or the weird of the human being. So it becomes this kind of both cultural and personal fate. And at Samhain, because the veil between the worlds is getting thinner and thinner throughout the month of October as we approach October 31st, it's a good time to try to get in touch with that, right? So one of the things that I like to work with my students on is say, okay, what I want you to do is I want you to get a ball of yarn or some other kind of twine or something. It doesn't have to be fancy. You don't have to buy anything expensive. I have horses, so I can use baling twine, and have many times. And I just want you to write down, a handful of things, 10 or 15 things that are really important to you or were at one time. And I want you to hide them throughout your house. Connected to a ball of twine. Or to a strand of twine, rather, not a ball of twine. So cut out a word, right? And then attach the twine to it and hide it from yourself. And over the course of either the month of Halloween, the month of October, as you get closer to Halloween, or throughout the course of the year, you're going to find these little bits of paper that connect you to your weird, that connect you to your faith, right? So one of them might be, you might write down poetry. Maybe you used to like to read poetry a lot, or maybe you used to even write poetry, right? Write that down, hide it somewhere, and see what happens when you find it. See what's happening around you in your life when you find it. Pay attention, right? Another thing that you can do to kind of connect with your weird, if you will, is write a bunch of things down, connect them to twine, weave it together, and then the things that you don't want anymore, you can snip out, right, and burn. You can ask the Norns for help in this process. I want this woven back into my weird. I want this brought back into my world for moving forward from Samhain, right? And you start to think about how this works, right? If you accept that there is a weird at hand, or that there's a fate that you get to choose, that you get to participate in, right? Then you get to actively move forward with it, instead of saying, no, my fate was made for me. I don't really get to have a choice. It's not really a witchy way of doing things. If you want to do it the witch way, you make a choice. You make a decision. You participate in your own weird, right? Either by making a request, or doing some magic, or doing some other like mundane work. Like if you want to be a doctor but you've never been to college, like enroll for the 4-year degree program so you can go to medical school, right? You can't do one without the other. So take control of your weird. It's your choice, right? And if you want to learn more about the Norns, I highly recommend it. Learning more about weaving, highly recommend that. Weaving has always been seen as magical across cultures. There's no reason that we should disconnect from that now. And it's part of the reason why certain textiles and things like that have higher value or have different types of meaning, right? Certain colors, like in China, only the emperor could wear. In China, only the emperor could wear yellow. In Scotland, there were tartans associated with the different clans, right? So think about weaving as something that's bigger than just the clothes that you wear. And think about it in terms of how you weave your fate and how you participate in weaving your fate. So, a little weirdness for you today. Go out and look for your weird, and we will see you tomorrow. If you haven't signed up for these videos yet, you can do it at witchdaily.com. And as always, if you have questions, you can write to me at marianne@witchdaily.com or just witchdailymedia@gmail.com. And we will definitely write back to you or make a video for you so that you can get your questions answered. All right, see you tomorrow. Have a witchy day.